Hey team, Chef Eric Gephardt here, hope you're doing well. Want to do a little 101 on my favorite sleeper cut out there of beef. This is the sirloin cap, AKA Coulotte steak. Let's get into the action. Lighting your Joe Jr. is exactly like firing off a classic or a Big Joe, no difference. We're just gonna put our charcoal in. The more charcoal you put in there, the hotter your fire's gonna get. We're gonna bank that charcoal to the back so that we can place our fire starter and light it up. And we're gonna go direct today. So as soon as I have that lit up, we're gonna put our grill grate right on top and grill up some beautiful steaks. The only difference between the Joe Jr. and the other grills is this one lives in the back of my truck and goes with me everywhere. Notice I've got this flat portion to the front so I can agitate the coals if I want to. Now we're gonna allow this grill to come to temperature. So I'm gonna close the dome, open the daisy wheel all the way, and we're gonna start watching that needle skyrocket, okay? The beauty about this little guy, yeah, you can do low and slow for 12 hours if you need to. You do a great pork butt or a spatchcock chicken on here, but we're gonna go, I don't know, 700 degrees and get that, maybe, well, 700 is a little aggressive. Let's go, so we don't wanna burn these steaks. I wanna cut them kinda thick. Let's go 550 today, yeah. You might recognize this cut if it had a big fat cap on it and we called it picanha, like they do down in Brazil. There's just a little bit of fat cap here, okay? Absolutely stunning. We're gonna leave that on there. And I'm gonna cut from this side. And we're gonna cut about, I don't know, 8 to 12 ounce steaks. And this is what will be known as a Coulotte steak. Now again, your picanha looks like that, but it's got 3 times the fat on the outside, okay? So same cut, different name, slightly different. Generally when you see steak tips, this is what comes out of it as well. And it's got a good amount of marbling. And this is gonna be one of those videos today. It's not really a recipe, it's not really a method, it's just introducing you to this cut and what you can do with it, right? Like we recognize this as steak tips, marinate it, sear it up, beautiful, skewer it, amazing. But these little steaks on the plate are stunning. So today we're gonna use a little bit of Lane's Barbecue chili lime, even seasoning all the way around. And now all that's left to do is grill it up. We got our Joe Jr. rocking at about 550 degrees. We could jump it up to 600 if we wanted to. This is gonna be a quick sear. We're gonna start with the fat cap side to allow that to begin to render first and foremost. And plus this will be our presentation side. No matter what we're cooking, we always start with our presentation side. Let's get it on the grill. So we said 550 degrees, we're at 650. This little baby's just cruising, and I'm okay with that, right? This is gonna be a blister sear. We're gonna take these steaks that we've cut up really nicely and seasoned, and take them to about 125 degrees internal temperature. So just flipping as we go. I've got a little duck fat. I'm just gonna give a little moisture content on the steaks. A little bit on the grill grate. All right, so remember we wanna grill that fat cap side first. So let's flip all these babies, fat cap up. Oh my gosh, and look at that. It's been sitting on there for about 10 minutes. It's just starting to get all glossy and sexy. Let's go ahead, fat cap down. Now as that fat cap starts to render, we're gonna get some flames, so we're gonna shut this lid and close the daisy wheel. We got enough residual heat in here that's gonna take care of it, okay? So I've got my draft door still all the way open, but my daisy wheel completely shut. Right now everything's rendering out, beautiful things are happening. In about 3 minutes, we're gonna turn it to the next side. Oh yeah. Big, bold sear on these guys. That's good. So now that we've flipped it, we're not gonna have so much dripping. Remember that fat cap's only on one side of it, but I'm still gonna close the dome because I wanna encapsulate, I wanna capture some of that smoke flavor from the drippings. And the best way to do that is dome down, slight airflow. We're gonna sear this for another, I don't know, let's say a minute and a half. Remember, we're trying to get even caramelization all the way around and drive that temperature of 125 to 130. Sometimes I like to move the meat around on the grill in new spots. And think about it like this. The meat's been sitting on those tines right there, and they've sucked up a lot of the energy or the heat. So if you move it over here to this side where it hasn't, nothing's touched these, you're gonna get a new caramelization, a new blister sear. So the name of the game is building bark. Let's come over here and listen to this. That's what we want. And then we can kind of scrape this off a little bit, just so it's got better conductivity when we wanna move it back over. So I also wanna mention this, you know, so many people are looking for those grill marks, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about freaking grill marks, okay? You wanna scruff this around. We got a high temperature, so you wanna leave it for at least a minute, minute and a half, turn it again, flip it. It doesn't matter. You're building caramelization on the outside. That's what we want. I'm gonna grab a thermometer just to show you guys 125. And every time you use a thermometer, touch the meat so you can start building context. And then 5 years from now doing this, or 2 years from now, if you do it enough, you won't need the thermometer. If you were the one who built the fire, you were the one who put the meat on there, you're constantly building context. And then eventually you'll just be able to look at it and be like, oh, that's 127.2. Not really, but you know, you'll know when you need to pull it off and let it rest. All right, so a couple things about taking a temperature. You always take a temperature in the thickest part of what you're doing, and you float the thermometer, meaning you stick it in, pull it out, stick it back in again, so that the cavity fills with the juices and you get a proper read. We're sitting at 90 degrees. That is the largest. Let's look at the smallest. 100 on that, okay? We got to take carryover cooking into consideration. We want to pull these 5 to 7 degrees below what we want our final temperature to be, because it's going to keep on cooking as it's off the grill. And we're gonna let it rest. Again, I've said this 1,000 times, letting it rest is the most difficult thing of cooking steaks by far. This is very simple, right? Get our temperature up, and this baby can cruise. We could have had 800 degrees, but that'd be a little aggressive. Lid up, we're just soaking up that energy, building that bark. So these guys are good. We're gonna go ahead and take them off and let them rest. Don't worry, the wooden cutting board is not gonna burn you, all right? Use what you got. Oh. So not really a recipe video or even a method video. We talk about methods a little bit, but a fun cut of beef that's really not been over popularized. The Coulotte steak is wonderful. You can do a nice compound butter with it for a sauce if you like. But look at the glistening on the outside of this thing. Just don't slice into it yet. We gotta let it rest. I'm saying that for my benefit as much as yours. We gotta let it rest. So we've rested these Coulotte steaks for 10 minutes. Would be better if it was 15 minutes, but I really don't have the patience for it. I'm telling you, let's go ahead and slice into it and see. Let's go right down the middle and just see what we've got. And that is really stunning. Nice and centered pinkness. Fat caps rendered beautifully, so we're not gonna have a lot of chew on that. I don't like to slice too thin. In the restaurant, I would serve it with a steak knife, and then I would just slice it on a bias and kind of spin it a little bit. Let me show you another trick. So we've got this great board sauce that's mixed with the outside of the steak and the seasonings. So we'll take our sliced pieces and toss them in that board sauce. And oh my gosh, look at that. If we want to, we could finish with a little finishing salt, or even go on a little bit more with that chili lime, but you want to be able to celebrate that meat. And look at that. Sauced with its own juices, rendered out fat cap. Let's give it a go. Right when it hit my tongue, I knew it was gonna be awesome. Wow, I gotta go in for another piece. Look how you can see how it just wants to pull apart. We cut it across the grain, and so that's a way of mechanically tenderizing. Cutting across the grain, really important. That's good. All right, so folks, this is a dynamite cut. Super easy to grill. I mean, it just takes no thought whatsoever. Just blister sear to 125, let it rest, and enjoy. Look for it in your local butcher shop, or ask your butcher to get you a sirloin cap. Turn it into your own Coulotte steaks and have fun with it. This is a perfect example of method over recipe. Season it however you want to season it. You know, it doesn't matter. But just be part of the action, part of the process. get a big bowl blistering sear on there and have fun with it, folks. It's gonna be absolutely delicious no matter what you do. Don't get stuck reading the recipe. Take the training wheels off, get into it, okay? I implore you, and use me as a resource if you can. Folks, if you enjoyed this method as much as we did, don't forget to subscribe, like, do leave us a comment. From our backyard to yours, cheers and happy grilling.